All right, it looks like we're live. So today, what I wanted to do is I had a lot of fun last week. I don't know if you guys did, if you're tuning in this week on today's stream, but last week I did a Q&A and it was really good. You guys asked a lot of really good questions. So I wanted to throw this back out to you guys again and make this maybe something more of a traditional thing that we do on the channel, because last week was a really good time. Normally what I do is I'll have it when I'm doing my live stream, they're kind of centralized around a certain topic, but I wanted to make this a little bit more loose, have you guys ask some questions, and the stream will kind of just go in the direction of wherever you guys decide to take it with the questions that you decide to ask. So if you're watching live on the stream, let me know down in the chat, and then yeah, we'll go ahead and get right into it. So today I'm going to be talking about just addressing any of your content creation tips, or just the content creation process is daunting. Man, it's like, even to this day, it's not easy. It's definitely a struggle. I don't know if you guys create content. If you're a content creator, let me know down in the chat. But yeah, it's like, for me, I remember like the struggle that it was getting my first 100 subscribers on this YouTube channel, and it wasn't an easy feat by any means. We got some guys popping in the chat. Let's see. Probably going to completely mess your name up, but thanks for being on the stream, man. A Hungry Husky, T-Bone. Thanks for hopping on the stream, brother. Good to see you. Yeah, but I just wanted to talk about some things, like address any questions that you guys have about the content creation stuff, because some of you guys may be creating content for your own personal channels, or you might be creating content for other creators. And I know there's a lot of things that go into it. And it's just, I spent a lot of money investing time, or I invested a lot of time and a lot of money in courses throughout my time. And I'm still trying to learn all these different things. Like things change all the time. Like before TikTok, I thought I had a lot of this stuff figured out, and then TikTok came out, and then all the short form content started to, became very popular after COVID. And so we kind of live in this world now where content is accessible to, or content creation is accessible to anyone. And I just, it was one of those things that you're always trying to, you just try to further develop your skills in it. And I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm just would love to share any of the advice or any of the things that I've learned along my content creation journey. Like earlier this week, I was working on some videos, and actually, let me just backtrack. It was actually earlier this year, I was really going through a lot trying to pump out videos for the YouTube channel. It was honestly, it was like an uphill battle. And it just, because the moment that I would press publish and the video would go live, it would be time to start working on that next video. And I just felt like I was in this constant cycle of never being able to get my time back. And, after chatting with some buddies and stuff like that are also creators, Hussey being one of them, who's actually on the stream right now. Shout out to you, man. Just talking to these guys and just kind of helping me come up with a plan, a better content strategy for my channel. And it's just like completely changed the trajectory for this year. And ever since we had that conversation, it was like, well, now I'm able to be consistent. I'm uploading one video a week. I'm also doing a live stream every single week. And it's really gotten me down. It's set me down the path that I want to go down. And so it wasn't something that was like, it wasn't something I was able to come up with on my own, but it is important to have, I think it's really important to surround yourself with people that are like-minded. Find yourself a mentor or something like that, especially somebody, whether you invest in it or whether you just have another friend, it's like an accountability partner. I think it's extremely important to help as far as like encourage you to keep going, because this can feel like an uphill battle, because the moment that you stop publishing it, you feel like you start to become irrelevant. And then before you know it, now your audience is watching somebody else. And yeah, it can just suck the energy right out of you. See, we got a couple more guys on the stream. Paul in Focus says, my question is how to get video ideas as a travel/lifestyle content as I work a 9-to-5 job. So what I would say is, like, if you're doing travel and lifestyle content, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job, I'm assuming that you probably take vacations. Like, I'm not sure how many vacations you take a year, but maybe you start to just like vlog your life, do something like day in the lifestyle content. Some of that stuff is really low lift meaning like it's really simple and easy to do. You can do it with your phone. It just really depends on the quality of production that you want. You don't have to use a phone. I'm just saying, like, a phone's real easy, and you can just record things that are going on throughout your day. And you when like a lot of the thing with lifestyle content is like we all have this. Everybody's unique in their own way. Like there's a lot of things that you know to us do not see. They seem kind of boring and things like that, but if we're posting them online, we can try to package them in a way that makes them sound more interesting. And then whenever you're going out and you're traveling, then I would just try to make sure that you document that experience as well. Now, it's kind of hard to have a travel channel if you're not traveling. Or at least whenever you're traveling, you're not shooting like a bunch of content whenever you go travel for multiple videos. So that's what I would do is like maybe start with some blog style content and just document your life. Let your, I've seen a lot of channels that have had success by just documenting their life in interesting ways and finding ways to package your lifestyle and make it more interesting. And I know that's easier said than done. I try to give you some examples of ways of doing that in your lifestyle. Like maybe you can pick a certain niche within your lifestyle, right? So maybe I see a lot of business creators now that are doing a lot of they're documenting as they're trying to grow their business and stuff like that. So that's one way that you could try to go down that road. Or if you're doing travel, like you could talk about how much you enjoy travel, how you're making these travel plans, things like trips that you're planning and how you your travel planning process. So that's something that I would do, Paul. That was a good question, man. Let me know if I didn't answer that as good as you would like. Hussey says, love you, brother. Love you too, man. Thanks for hopping on the stream. Squidball says, hey, Tyler, good evening from Dubai. Appreciate all your YouTube guidance and editing tips. Thanks so much for hopping on the stream, man. Good to see you. Which software is good for color grading? Could you make video tutorial? I use Premiere Pro for color grading at the moment. DaVinci Resolve, well, most will tell you is probably the best software for color grading. It just depends on the extent of what you're doing. But yeah, that's something that is in the works as far as like editing or color grading inside of Premiere Pro. So yeah, I'll definitely probably I'll have a tutorial coming in the future as far as color grading. There's also, I don't have it in the description right now, but if you just look at some of my older color grading videos, you can find some of my LUTs as well. If you're interested in that, there's LUTs that I have there as well. But yeah, like I was saying though, I remember how daunting it was to get my first 100 subscribers. And I remember spending money on courses to try to learn how to grow my YouTube channel and how to improve at content and stuff like that. And honestly, I'd recommend that to anybody. I know that it's not easy for everyone to just go and just throw $300 or, a few $1,000s. I don't think that that's realistic. I'm saying that you can start by, investing in like a $20 or $30 program that has people in it that you can meet. Because that's where I met all of the people. Like, it's not like you'll hear stuff on social media about like, you need to find a mastermind group and you need to meet with people regularly and have them give you feedback on ways that you can improve your content and your strategy and stuff like that. And that is true, but nobody really tells you how to do that. And the way that I've seen success in doing that, the only way I was able to find success in doing that was to invest in certain programs and then create groups within those people, like, so meeting people and stuff like that. And then you can start to get feedback. And that has been invaluable as far as like me and my mental health, but also in me and just like creating content that is good for you guys. But on the other hand, right? So let's say you're not trying to grow on social media, or you don't even know what social media like you want to do, right, with your content creation. Let's backtrack all the way to, let's say, with gear. A lot of people think that the gear that you need is like you need this high-end camera. Right now, I shoot on a Sony A7 IV. I also have a Sony A6500 that's up here on the shelf. It's like right up here behind me. That was the camera that I started on YouTube with, was right here. And even to this day, I could take that camera, I could put it right over there. I wouldn't be able to stream with it very well, but I could use it and record my videos with. So you don't think you need to go out and buy something. That's not a very expensive camera right now because it's a little bit of an older camera. But what I'm getting at is that you can use something like this and shoot some really high quality video. It doesn't have to be like TikTok or Instagram Reels. You could just make a long form YouTube video just by having a phone. The most important thing is this thing right here that's out of the frame is your lighting, right? What I'm shooting on, what I have in my lighting is this is a Godox SL 60 watt light. I thought I needed like an Aperture 120D Mark II that, I was watching Peter McKinnon videos and I'm like, yeah, I need exactly that. This light right here is probably less than or it's probably around $100 especially when you include the softbox. All you need. You don't even really need to get this. Logitech makes some cool mics that you can put on your desk if you just want to have like a desk setup for content creation. It's really, and it's like set it and forget it. You don't even need this much, but like from whenever I first started creating content to where things are now with far as cars content creation, it's so much more accessible and it's not as expensive. A lot of people have made the mistake of spending a whole lot of money on gear. And there's a lot of people that, like myself, that are just trying to tell people like, don't get, don't have gear acquisition syndrome. They call it gas in the videographer and, the photographer world. Like we always want the latest and greatest tech, but especially whenever you're first getting started, I do not think that you need to invest in all this expensive equipment. A good light, a decent camera like your phone or like the Sony a7 IV, which allows me to do other things, is more than enough. Let me check on the chat. It looks like some of you guys are popping on here with some questions. Paul in Focus says, I face issues with the cycle as it is same every day for a day-to-day video. No new thing as I work at Edit Suite in India. So I would just say like, I get what you're saying too. Is like I've dealt with that. Like I have a 9-to-5 job. I drive to my job. But find those pockets of time. Like it's really about just a little bit of planning and coming up with things that are a little bit more interesting to do in your day. So again, going back to like whatever your niche is, making decisions like, so there's a good book right here. I'll show it to you. I'm not telling you have to go read a book. This book really helped me though. Whenever I read it, it's called Show Your Work. And it's wrote by the same guy that wrote Still Like an Artist, Austin Kleon. It's a really good book that I think I would recommend you read. You don't even have to read it. You can go on YouTube and get the summarized version and get the meat and potatoes of the book. But look at that and it'll kind of explain to you the way, like how you can document the mundane things that you think aren't important and make them more interesting. Because people do care about those things because people can relate to the mundane things that you do in your day to day. But also just try to, like, I would say a little bit of planning is going to go a long way whenever it comes to your content. So start to plan to like have a sequence of events of things that you're going to do in your vlog. And then you can you just got to start shooting a couple of videos, and the first couple are going to suck, but then you'll find more ways to make things more interesting. Because being realistic, even whenever I haven't vlogged in a while, my first couple of vlogs aren't that great, but after I've been doing it for a little while, I feel like I get better and better at it. So hopefully that was helpful. Hussey says, y'all be sure to hit that like button. Yeah, it helps the algorithm. So please hit the like button. Thanks, brother. Your tutorials is not 1 hour long. This is the best part of your videos. Always straightforward and focused. Keep it up, bro. I appreciate it, man. I've always been one that's like, especially whenever I have a problem, I want the straight and to the point. I used to think about it like this whenever I was, especially with my tutorials, is like, I imagine if I didn't know how to change a tire and I was on the side of the road somewhere and I was looking up a video on YouTube on how to change a tire, the last thing that I want to hear is like, before we get into the content, can you smash the like button, hit subscribe, and do all this, say all these extra things? Like, no, man, just tell me how to solve my problem. I'm trying to get my family's in the car. We're on the side of the road, and I just need to know how to change this tire. So I always try to be as concise as I can, especially with the tutorial style content, just because I want to deliver the information, because I know, especially as an editor, time is of the essence. Is like a thing that we don't have a lot of because we spend a lot of time editing. So I know that last thing you want to do is just be watching this lengthy tutorial. And, I'm not trying to make super long videos for the algorithm or anything like that. The most important thing has always been for me is to help you guys with your content creation. Let's see. Squid Paul says, what's your advice on adding YouTube shorts to grow a channel just above 1,000 subs? To be honest, I'm not a big fan of them, so I haven't really been making any. I'll be honest with you. I think I could probably push this channel over 100,000 subscribers if I wanted to by making short form content, but I'm not a huge fan of shorts either. Now that's just kind of like, I'm very similar in the sense of like how you're thinking too, because short form content doesn't create as much depth whenever you're building an audience. So there's not as much like audience loyalty and community building as much as there is long form. But I do think that there is a strategy that exists out there where you can create long form or short form content that links back to your long form. I don't know necessarily, like, if you want to be a shorts channel, I think that as long as you're getting a good amount of views, like I was watching a creator. He does like Pokemon cards. So you guys may have heard of him. His name's Jarchomp, and he got popular from making short form content. I think on TikTok, but also his short form content on YouTube as well. And he does really well. Like even his long form content does really well. And the people that watch his long form content are the ones that want to go deeper with him. So I think there is a world that exists where you can do short form content and grow a channel to over 1,000 subscribers. But it really just depends on what your goal is, right? Do you want to grow a YouTube channel to get, over 1,000 subscribers? Remember, it's going to take a lot more work to get like monetized having a shorts channel with the video views and everything that are coming from shorts and watch time, or do you want to have more of a long form style channel? It just depends on what your goal is. I'm not a huge fan of it. So I'm not going to tell people not to do shorts and stuff like that. There's definitely a path there. And honestly, if you're just getting started, the barrier to entry is so low. So I would honestly recommend starting off by just creating, if you never created content, start off by making short form content and just getting used to what it feels like to make content. Paul and Focus says, was about to ask that, Squid. Paul's talking about what's the, as far as like YouTube shorts and stuff like that. Again, I'm not anti YouTube shorts. I've made a lot of YouTube shorts on this channel that did really well, but I've started realizing that I was getting a lot of subscribers from my YouTube shorts, but those subscribers weren't really watching any of my long form content. So again, it's not something that I just didn't want it to impede. If I was going to make shorts, maybe I would do like a clips channel or something on a separate YouTube channel. That's just the way that I'm thinking right now. But some of my buddies have had a lot of success. Like they'll take their short form content and they will just link it back to their long form. So, I haven't experimented with it too much just for that reason, but it's worth experiment. What I would do is this, is if you're trying to grow a small channel over 1,000 subscribers and you're trying to grow it over 1,000 subscribers because you want to get monetized, you want to become partnered with YouTube, then I would just consider like how much harder it's probably going to be to get like that much watch time and everything like that for a shorts channel. Now you could definitely get the number, but how long is it going to take you to actually get monetized? I think that this is just my opinion. If you can start off by doing long form content, this kind of goes against what I just said a minute ago, but if you can stick to shooting long form content, it will pay off much. Like it'll pay off much more if you can stick to that. But there's a certain, everybody's different, right? It's going to be more beneficial for you if you can stick to long form, because you can make short form very easily if you can do long form content. I think, or at least in my experience, that's what I've seen. Not necessarily, I don't know if that's true for everyone, but yeah, if you just cannot create long form content and you just you feel like you'll be better at short form content, then you can go that route as well, as long as you're just creating something. Paul and Focus says, as shorts came, the retention rate has gone down drastically and the attention span is majorly 10 seconds or less. Yeah, I mean, there's just when this, from what I've observed, is whenever TikTok when COVID happened, there was, and TikTok became more popular. I saw YouTube views higher than they've ever been on YouTube, and I've been doing YouTube stuff since like 2006. I haven't had this YouTube channel since 2006, but I've been on YouTube since 2006. And what I've observed is that viewer behavior has changed. Like people don't just click and go to YouTube to watch videos anymore. They click and they go to TikTok. So therefore, what I'm getting at is like there's a lot more distractions than there ever has been, and it's just because human behavior has changed when it comes to watching videos. Before there was short form content, human behavior was just, hey, we could watch a video on YouTube. And the reason why you watch videos on YouTube is because one, you wanted to be entertained, or two, you were seeking some educational style content, at least from what I've observed. And so, yeah, I do agree that I think attention spans have dropped slightly, but the reason why they've dropped slightly is just because there's more distractions than ever. So, when there's a ton of distractions in your environment, it's a lot easier to get distracted than it is if there's not as many options, essentially. Sweetball says, thanks, Tyler. Yes, my long form videos is what I really enjoy making, but it did take a very long time to get to 1,000. Yeah, it's just, it's a grind. And when it comes to making videos, I used to you would hear it all the time. Success, like you just need to make a lot of videos. It's the volume game. It's just make a bunch of videos. And to an extent, I agree with that, because one, like you are learning as you're making videos, it's just practicing, right? But the other part of that is that you need to analyze your videos as well. Like you can't just, okay, I make a video and then I'll post it. I'll make a video and I'll post it. Like obviously you're going to, I say obviously, you're probably going to be looking at your analytics and you're probably going to be like, measure it like, okay, this video is not doing good. So but really looking at what is making it not do good, right? So you're looking at your audience retention metrics and you're seeing where the drop off rate is. And you're going before that and you're like, okay, what was the thing that I said? What was the editing thing that I did in that video that could have caused the viewer to click away? Or you just completely, because it could have been anything. It could have been something you said. It could have been something that was on screen for too long. It could have been just something that was, or the hook wasn't strong enough. Like your title and thumbnail was clickbait. But those are all things that I don't think that if you're just getting started as a beginner, I wouldn't concern yourself too much with that. The first step is to get started making content. Just make videos. You start making 20, 30 videos. You know, everybody says, or at least from the advice I've gotten, it's like make 100 videos and then start trying to analyze your videos and figure out how to improve them. You could do that. Actually, you can make like 30 or 40 videos and then you could start analyzing them and trying to figure out. But the most important step is to start to find like a process for how you make your content and then figure out how you can be consistent with that. And I've seen the most success, especially this year. Like this was something I already knew, but obviously, as you guys have seen, like some of my content has changed a little bit on the channel. Like I started branching out and talking about a little bit. There's some topics that I'm also interested in, rather than just talking about video editing. And so with that, I had to come up with, since it was a newer format, it was something that I had to adapt to, because the tutorials I understood. Like I can pump out a tutorial pretty easily. It's very linear. We go from the start of the tutorial to the end of the tutorial. And in the end is usually the result that you guys want, or the result that you're after, right? The problem, the solution to what you're searching for. And with this new style of content, well, now there had to be, there was talking points. I was on camera more. And how do I figure that out? So the first thing was making a bunch of videos, figuring out what was like good. And then once I figured out the framework, then I could analyze it and start to try to break down how I could improve it. And then I had to basically go back to the drawing board, just like whenever I was creating videos when I was first getting started, and like try to scale up from there. Because in the beginning, it's all about just being able to get used to making the videos. And then you can start to dissect and break down and figure out what the bottleneck is in your videos, why they're not getting views and stuff like that. And another thing is like topics, especially nowadays, because all the information is literally laid out in front of you. When I was first getting started, people were still like, is it like audience retention important? How can we figure out like click-through rate and how to get people to click on our video? Now, like there's so many smart YouTube educators on social media now, or just social media educators in general, that you have all the information that you need to be successful without paying for anything. The problem is that you don't know when you should apply it, how you should apply it, and everything like that, at least for me. And it's overwhelming. So I think the first step is to just start making videos and then there's no real there is. If you buy courses and stuff, they'll have it laid out and structured in the way that you think or they think that's going to be the best for you to learn and be able to apply what you learn. But if you don't have the money to spend on courses and stuff like that, it's really, you're just kind of like trial and error. You're trying to figure it out as you're doing the thing. So let me see if you guys got, I think some more stuff's coming in the chat. Paul and Focus says, can you start a segment of reviewing subscribers' content? Will help us understand what are the things we can improve as a creator. That's a good idea. I will let me think about that, and then I will let you guys know, because I mean, I got to see as far as like what I can do. Maybe we can do that on stream or something like that. We'll have to just see what is possible and everything like that. But let me look at my content strategy and my plan and everything like that. Maybe that's something we can do, because I know giving you guys some feedback on your videos would probably be extremely helpful, I'm sure. So let me think about that, and then I will let you guys know when and if that's something that we can do on the channel. If not, maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something somewhere that exists in a Discord server or something where we can kind of give each other feedback on our videos, and that way you guys are getting the best from it. Because I don't want a whole lot of people to submit videos and then they're not getting their videos reviewed. But I think there will still be value, or it would be valuable for other people on stream to be able to hear the feedback, so because they can take some of that feedback and apply it to their own video. So that's a good idea, Paul. Thanks for that. Do you think VFX industry is in trouble because of AI? Many VFX studios is closed. There's studios in India, etc. Wow. I think that I saw something about this. There are some, and it was related to graphic design, but you could probably still apply the same thought process to just VFX, because it was about GFX, or graphic designers. What it's going to do is it's going to, for certain businesses that want to get things at a cheap rate, it will be easier for them to be able to do it themselves. But I don't think that the VFX industry is in trouble, because there will always be, because if they want certain specific things done that AI cannot do, like, trying to think, I wish I could find it. I don't know where I would be able to find it right now, but the guy that I saw that broke it down, he was very intelligent, and he just broke it down very clearly. But it was just that, like, it will be able to do this entry level thing that it's going to be harder for people that are just getting started to make money. Yes. But those guys that actually are like the middle of the road and that are more advanced, they will still continue to have a place in the industry, and still, like, basically what'll happen is like the beginners, it's the barrier to entry is just going to be a lot, it's going to be a lot harder to get into that world and be able to make money. But I don't think that the industry is in trouble, because in order for AI to do everything that a VFX artist can do, other than just like generating those effects and stuff like that instantly, I think that there will still be a need for some, like, for the client to give feedback to the AI, or in a certain way. And I think that if there's going to be a world that exists, that they're still going to have to pay money for that. So they would be, probably, if you're anything like me, you're probably, or a business owner is going to be wanting a specific thing, and AI is not necessarily going to be able to make it every single time. I know that, with software and stuff, you're still going to have to pay for it. So there will be a lot of business owners that are like, it's not worth me paying for this or hiring an editor that can do this and everything. I would rather outsource to a VFX company or something along those lines. So I don't think the industry is in trouble. I just think that they're just going to have to adapt to using AI and incorporating it into their workflow. So hopefully that was helpful. I know that, I hate that, there's some companies that are like closing up, and it sucks, because from what I know about business, when it comes to, especially about like creative things, is that depends on, what the demand is. And if the demand is, if the supply is lower, or the supply is lower than the demand, then you can charge a premium, right? So there's going to be, hence, like, we just dealt with it, like here in the United States, we just dealt with the bird flu stuff with the eggs, right? So eggs got extremely expensive because there was a lower supply of eggs because of the bird flu. And if there is the demand is lower because there is an abundance, like an ability to create these VFX, then there will be a portion of the market that will kind of fizzle out, because maybe they were, I don't know, these like Technicolor, I'm not sure if they're like big companies or anything like that. I really don't know. It's off the top of my head, and maybe that's bad on me, but if they're not a company, especially like startups and stuff like that, they don't do a whole lot with bigger businesses, then I think that it's very possible that, those guys might be in trouble if they don't elevate their skill beyond what AI can produce. If that makes sense. So that was a really long-winded way of answering your question. I hope that answered your question. Paul and Focus said, can you suggest budget lighting gear, which is good in quality as well? I would say, yeah. So some gear, this is the Godox SL60. Let me see if I can just pull it up on Amazon real quick. I can show you guys, or show you it real quick. But yeah, the Godox SL60 here is really good. And it's like less than $100. Well, I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It's probably right around $100. So let me just, Godox SL60 watt. Yeah, so right now it's going for like it's $109 right now if you just got this, and then you'll probably have to for the light dome that I got on it. I can't even remember the name of the dome that I got. Let's just say light dome. You're probably gonna spend and like that'll be right around the same price, but you could get like probably a light dome for $70. That's a good option. Amaran makes another good one. That's nice. The 100X, I think. It's a little bit more expensive. It's $279, but you get the bicolor. You get the bicolor effect, which is really good because that way you can kind of adjust. You can instead of using just a daylight color, you can actually use colors that are similar to this, right? So this isn't daylight here. This light here is using I'm using as a rim light for the background. This light doesn't match that. And if you're doing a scene for your video, what you want to do is you want to have, if you have a light in the background, you want this light to reflect what that light is, because off camera, they don't see this light right here. They only see these lights here, and they see light on your face. And so that's what you're doing is when you have a bicolor light, you're doing what is motivated lighting. And so essentially you're just making that light look like it's what's coming on, like the thing that's actually lighting up your face versus having an external light source. So that's a good one. Let me see. There's Amaran makes a good one. I mean, they make these these 60-watt lights that are good. I don't own any myself, so it's really hard for me to like these cob lights. But let's see. Yeah, there's like Neewer makes a. No, I don't know about the Neewer. The Zhiyun, that's like $139. It's a good one that I've heard. If you're like looking for like a small setup, it's really good. Let's see. Trying to see if I can pull it up here. It's not letting me do it. But Zhiyun makes a good one. But yeah, I wouldn't. You know, there's plenty of lights out there. I don't think that you need to go out and buy an $800 light. Like I thought that unless you want to be like you're wanting to be a videographer and you can write that off on your taxes, or you can use that for multiple reasons. I don't think that if you're having like just a simple YouTube setup, you need all that. They make, I mean, there's even cheaper ones. Like let's just type in, if you type in, go on Amazon and type in content creator lights. You can find a lot of good lights. Like it's something as simple as a ring light. Ring light can make it happen too. I actually really like this light right here. This is the Aperture MC light, and so you can change the colors. My daughter loves this light here. She likes to come in here and change all the colors on it. So you can use this, and it has like this diffusion on here, so you don't have to actually. You can use it as a bicolor light, but you can make it brighter, and you can just put this on a tripod and light up your face here. Now it's definitely the bigger the light source, the better. Like the bigger the light source, the softer the light's going to be. That's why whenever you go outside and the sun's out and there's no clouds in the sky, the smaller the light source is, the harsher the light's going to be. So this is something that you could use in a pinch, and especially in a small YouTube setup. When I was getting started, I can't find the light now. It's the smaller version of this I was using on some of my first tutorials, and some of those tutorials have thousands of views, and I got it. I mean, again, the amount of money that you spend on gear does not equal the amount of views that you're going to get. It's about how creative you are with your content. So those are just a couple of options. This one right here, this is the Aperture MC, and it's going for like $99. I think it might even be cheaper than that, especially if you buy it during the holiday season. Yeah, it's like $90. If you buy it during the holiday season, you can get it for even cheaper than that. You can probably get it for like $50. A lot of these lights go on sale. That's another thing too, is I recommend if you're thinking about it, you maybe could wait towards like the holiday time or like Cyber Monday or like Black Friday. You'll get a lot of good deals on some of these products. Hussey says, I use the Neewer brand lights. Yeah, they make good lights. They're not incredibly expensive, and they do the job. Yeah, and Hussey says he leaves his outside all the time. He's got an outdoor setup. Give you guys some backstory. The Hungry Hussey, he's got a YouTube channel. He's got a cooking YouTube channel, and he does all of his stuff on a Blackstone griddle. And so all of his videos are shot outside. And yeah, he does. You guys want to go check him out because he makes some great stuff. He's got over 200,000 subscribers and he's killing it over there. But yeah, he leaves his stuff outside and it survives through the outdoor conditions. Paul and Focus says, I have a ring light, but it has started to show some wear and tear, needed to upgrade. Yeah, I mean, a ring light is good. And you know, again, there comes a certain point in time where you're going to want to upgrade. But, you know, again, I can tell you, I have used this light right here for almost the entire time for just my YouTube setup for almost the entire time that I've had my YouTube channel. So it's been like well over 5 years that I've used this one light right here. It doesn't have like a loud fan or anything. And you know, the softbox here, I did upgrade the softbox here. I wish I could show you guys. It has a grid in there now. And yeah, it's so, I mean, I guess I could take a picture and show you guys real quick just so that you can see what it looks like on camera. Hopefully I can get it big enough to where you can see it, but let's just see right here. Yeah, so it has this grid right here. This is that's kind of what the setup is right there. It's a fairly big, it's like an octagon shape. And yeah, it's real, like, it's not like hot or anything like that. So I like these lights too, right? It doesn't have like a bunch of temperature coming from it, but I say I like these lights too because they do have a little bit of heat to them, but they are somewhat fairly soft and you could use them if you wanted to. Like these two lights right here, I got them on a Black Friday deal. They were both like $50 a piece. So I spent $100 on 2 of these lights, and you could put this in like one of the corners of your room, and then you could have the other one lighting up the background, and you could use them as well. These are like some Govee lights that you can control with your phone, and they don't have like any flickering or anything like that. I'm pretty sure Hussey's got some of these in his shop too. He's got some of these same lights, so they're really nice, and yeah, you can change the color of them into whatever you want. Hussey says, the one I have is like yours. It's newer brand with honeycomb. Yeah. I wish, you know, maybe Hussey, if you got a link to that, drop it in the chat, man. That would probably be helpful for some of these guys. Cause if it's a good price, you know, I don't think that you need to go out and spend an arm and a leg, especially whenever you're doing this for social media and stuff. That's why I bought the Sony a7 IV. Like I could have spent a lot of money and got the FX3 or the Sony a7S III, but what I do is content creation, and I'm also a photographer and videographer. So how could I solve those like needs without having to break the bank and make like, you know, just put myself in a financial bad situation. So when I bought this camera, I bought it with the intent of making YouTube videos, but also because I was doing photography gigs. I was shooting weddings. I was also like a videographer. And so I was doing stuff for local businesses and stuff like that, and more corporate related things. So this camera paid for itself, but I'm still using it now. Even after it's already paid for itself, I'm still using it for my YouTube content. And there are definitely more expensive cameras that you can get that are really going to give you this high production look. But I don't think that because it's all about like the tool that you're using, right? You can buy the most expensive like tool, but if you don't really like if you're working on something in construction, but if you only use that tool one time, it's like, was it really worth spending all that money? And I mean, some people will say, well, yeah, because I'll have it for next time I need to use it. But for YouTube, we're using our equipment more often than we would be if we're just doing like some DIY stuff around the house. So let's see. I have one like, okay, we got that one. If I remember correctly, the light and softbox was a kit and it was $150 or so, much better than a ring light. Yeah, for sure. And again, with a ring light, I had a buddy that had like a finance channel, and he had like 2 of them set up. And so it was a very flat look. But if you care more about like, you want some shadows and you want to make you care more about cinematography, you're definitely going to want to upgrade to something more than just a ring light for sure. Hussey says $65. Okay. Arun says, I'm sorry. Is it Arun? I'm sorry. I completely messed up your name. Have been editing since quite some time now. And believe me, every time I got stuck, your videos were somehow there to help. Thanks for all that. I'm so glad they were helpful, man. And it's just, I've still to this day watched tutorials on other creators and stuff like that. And some guys were talking about earlier, they were like, I love how you get straight to the point and everything like that. And I just don't know how to when it comes to tutorial content, I don't know how to not make videos that don't get straight to the point. Just because if I have a problem, I want the person to get to the point. I talked about it earlier. Like if I was on the side of the road and I didn't know how to change a tire on my vehicle, I don't want to hear like and subscribe or all this stuff. I just show me how to change the tire so I can, get my family cruising down the road type of thing. But yeah, so glad that thanks for hopping on the stream, man. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any more questions. We'll probably go for like another 5. I mean, just depending on how many questions you guys have, a few more minutes. If you're watching on the replay, let me know down in the comments. But I appreciate you guys hopping on the stream. I feel like these Q&As are like, I enjoy them so much more than just me hopping on here, going through like slides and stuff like that. But I enjoy actually interacting with you guys and getting you guys' feedback. Like earlier, somebody said something about, could we possibly do some reviews on content and stuff? So that's a great idea. Maybe we can figure out something to where you guys can, I'll have it set up a link or something where you guys can send in your videos and I can do like a roast, or I can give you some feedback on those and we can do them live. So I think that would be really cool. And I know I'm sure that would be really helpful. Maybe we could do that with photo and video. Cause I know we have some guys here that have some photos and stuff like that, there are guys that are wanting to improve their photography as well. So that would be something really cool. Full film making tutorials from scratch. So are you saying that you would like to see some like start to finish, like some behind the scenes stuff on like making films and stuff like that? That could be cool as well. I've seen some creators do stuff like that. It's like, just the hard part about doing the behind the scenes stuff is just like, what I have is like, you'll have to hire somebody to shoot behind the scenes content. So that's why I kind of got this the Insta360 Go 3S. So it just kind of sits on my chest and try to, so maybe I can do that and maybe do something with like some voiceover. So that's good to know as well. But anything that would be helpful for you guys, again, whenever I was first like learning, there was a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to the editing stuff, just because I had to figure out, I knew how to edit from making previous YouTube videos, but I didn't know how to edit in a way to where it would get people to watch. Like, people would actually enjoy it. I just made things that I thought made sense, right? So if there's a scene here, it needs to connect to this scene here, and then so on and so forth. But I didn't actually think about like the way that we perceive the content and stuff like that. So there was a little bit of a learning curve there, and then having to figure out like the nuances of actual YouTube. So like, what makes a good thumbnail, what makes a good YouTube title, and like there's all that stuff. And then like analytics is a whole nother animal, right? So you got the regular analytics, and then you got advanced mode, which seems like a whole nother world of stuff, right? And even to this day, sometimes it feels like a whole nother world of stuff. And it's not easy. Creating content that's why I said earlier, it's like, you just find yourself a good group of guys that you can, what Hussey calls it, chewing the fat every now and then, just kind of like kick around some ideas on things that you're having, get some feedback, specific things, because those are, and find you some good people that are going to be honest with you. Because I've been a part of some free groups, like especially in the early days. I was like in Facebook groups, and you didn't have to pay any money to be in it. It's just like a YouTube Facebook group, and everybody's like sub for sub and like all this stuff. And it's like, that's a terrible thing to do for your channel, because what you're doing is you're getting somebody to subscribe to your channel that's going to get a notification about your video, that's not going to watch your video when it pops up on their homepage. And then you do that enough times, you're going to build an entire community, or you're going to build an entire channel full of people that only subscribe to you because you subscribe to them. And so that's just a bad way of getting your foot in the door with your stuff. It's better to just post a video, not let it get any views, and just kind of like learn from it. Be like, instead of having that, man, I didn't get any views, have that growth mindset that's like, okay, I posted my first YouTube video, it didn't get any views. I mean, think about how many people haven't gotten any views on their first YouTube video, and they're now extremely successful. You look at guys like, I hate to use like Mr. Beast as an example, but you could use that, him as an example. You could use many other creators like Marquez Brownlee, or I'm trying to think of some like that we're not even like that aren't super famous now. There's plenty of creators, I'm sure, that you watch that didn't get. Peter McKinnon was a good example. When he was first getting started, he didn't get a whole lot of views, and then he found his way. And so I think that you'll gain that confidence as you're creating, and then surrounding yourself with people that actually care about your success. And you can do that. You can find, you just, again, you'll you're definitely going to run into people that are like sub for sub type of people. I think even to this day, but you will, the biggest thing is just try to always be trying to move forward and find new people. And yeah, once you find your people, you'll know that they're good for you because again, and they're going to give you that honest feedback. They're not going to hold anything back. Let's see. Fallen Focus says how to gain confidence in front of camera or in public to vlog. All right, that's a good one, right? So there is a reason I sigh like that or just take a deep breath is because I've done with this as well. I'm not the guy that's going to get on the airplane right now, anyways. I'm not. I mean, I could be. I'm not going to be the guy right now to, especially with my daughter if she's with me, to get on the airplane and be vlogging as I'm getting on the airplane. But it is a little bit easier these days to be out in public and talking to the camera because so many people know that that's a thing now. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go, like any people where you work at, everybody's watching some creator, whether it's on TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, because YouTube has become the top streaming platform. It's become the new Netflix. So because there's more people watching YouTube than there are more people watching Netflix, then you probably know somebody that watches a creator. And why do I say that? Well, to give you a little bit of confidence in like, they've seen that is a familiar thing. And the biggest thing is like to do it with confidence. Like if you're speaking to the camera with confidence, whenever you're around a group of people and what you're saying, like you're coming from a place like you'll want to practice. Maybe you go to a park or something. That's what I used to do, right? Is I would just go to a park when there wasn't a lot of people and I would just vlog around that park and do stuff and make certain points around the park. A lot of creators do that. But once you do that, if you're in a populated area, again, just like send it, man. Don't hold anything back because it's almost more awkward whenever people are like tripping over their words and you can see that they're nervous and it makes the other person that's kind of looking at you feel uncomfortable. It's almost a little bit more awkward to do that than there is to be like, because usually if you know what you're talking about and you're just talking to the camera confidently about what you want to talk about, people will just walk right by you. And another thing is like, I don't, the way I look at it is like, I don't let and it's not like from a negative perspective, but I don't let the opinion of other people, especially people I don't know, affect how I progress towards my goal. And so if that's a goal of yours, don't worry about what other people think about you, essentially. Like be open to feedback from people that you care about. But if it's nobody that you know and you're just walking around in public, if that's something that you want to do, I wouldn't worry about it. Again, they're going to walk right past you and they're probably only going to think about you walking with your camera for, I don't know, the next 5 minutes as they're walking to wherever they're going. And then they're going to completely forget that you were even walking around with your camera in a few hours. So yeah, I wouldn't stress about that. Love you, man. By the way, the beard's bearding. Oh yeah. What do you guys think? I know that it's definitely here and it's not like, I don't want to like boast. I'm not trying to brag about my beard or anything, but it's definitely like longer than I thought it would ever be. And yeah, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I've gotten more positives than I have negatives about it. So that's kind of why I've kept it. But you guys tell me what do you think? Let me know down in the comments as well if you're watching on the replay. It's like, man, you need to shave that off, or like, no, dude, just do your thing because it looks normal on you. So hopefully it's leaning more towards the normal side because that's what I'm going for. I don't know. In India specifically, or in India especially in smaller cities, it is still not common. They like to get behind and gives an awkward look. Oh, okay, yeah, that's true, right? So in other countries, it might be a little. I didn't even consider that whenever I was saying what I was saying. So, whenever you're doing vlogs and stuff, you don't have to look at. You don't necessarily have to. Another way that you could go down it, or the road that you can go down, is like you don't necessarily have to talk to the camera in public. You can just get some B-roll. And then you could do voiceover as well. I've seen a lot of really good voiceover style vlogs that are done very creatively, very artistically. And so there's a bunch of different ways you just basically narrate over what you've done and stuff like that. So that's one way that you could do it. And then what I like to do is kind of like what I've seen that looks best is like when you break up the videos by like finding those little pockets in the video that you can maybe get away from people and find a comfortable place. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not like people don't ever, I don't know anybody that actually likes to go out and vlog in front of a lot of people and like just talk to the camera. Like, I don't, I mean, maybe there's somebody, I'm sure there's some people out there that, but usually I feel like a lot of people that do that are like just trying to exert a level of confidence. And it's not a bad thing, but I don't really know anybody that's like, yeah, I'm super stoked to go vlog and talk to the camera in front of a large group of people. Usually that makes people feel uncomfortable, and you don't want most. I think human nature is we don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But yeah, so maybe you just find a location, like try to narrate over your vlog, like have a voiceover, and then find like an area that is kind of a little bit more. I don't know. There's not a lot of people, and then you can kind of talk to the camera there and just break it up. And another thing that'll be really easy for you, I think, that is if you kind of have yourself like a loose outline or a loose script of what you want to say on those talking points. So maybe that's another way that you could go about it. But yeah, I don't, if you can't, I wouldn't, I would just try to be selective with where you're trying to go, especially if it's something that's kind of frowned upon or not, it's kind of looked at awkwardly. I just know there's a ton of creators in India. So I just surprised that there is, it's not, people don't look at it as a more common type of thing. But yeah, that's what I would do is I would just, try to find some places that aren't as busy maybe, and just kind of feel it out type of thing whenever you go out and you shoot. If it seems like an area that where people are going to be kind of weirded out by what you're doing, maybe you don't film talking to the camera there, but you just get some B-roll instead. So hopefully that was helpful, man. Um, True, bro. Even he doesn't know how much he's helped us to learn. Oh, well, I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I mean, that's good to see. It's like when you make content, I think that's more rewarding than any amount of videos that I could ever make, any views. A lot of times whenever you're looking at numbers and stuff like that, and goes for like anybody that if you're wanting to get into content, I do think that there's probably some people out there that create content just for views, but and that's not, they probably don't do that intentionally, like just to get views. They're really not in tune with their why. But for me, the whole reason I even started a YouTube channel is because I wanted to help people. I wanted to share the knowledge that I had with people so that they can, learn faster than I did and have experiences and help change people's lives. And then not to get like super sappy and, um, you know, dramatic about stuff, but no, that's the whole reason why and it's just good to, it's really validating to hear those types and see those types of things that it's been helpful for you guys. So I appreciate that. Let's see. Oops. Paul says, I found that it's a lot easier vlogging outside my home country. I guess the fear of getting judged is a lot less. Yeah. I mean, it's like that anywhere too, is if you, especially in your local area, like if I were to vlog in my local area, you like live in this area. So you're worried about what other people think. So I could totally see that. And then, yeah, even in your own country, I'm sure it would be, it's definitely, I could see that for sure. Because you don't want to be, I don't know, because you don't want to disrespect people, or you don't want to feel like you're disrespecting people. I'm sure, at least that's the way I would feel. And you don't want to, yeah, you just don't want to make people feel uncomfortable because you're just trying to be a good person. I'm sure it's like the deep thing, right? You don't want to selfishly make people feel uncomfortable. So I get that. But maybe you can just find it, maybe find an area to where you don't have to, maybe there's a lot of people that you're around essentially. So again, I'm not the guy vlogging on the airplane kind of guy. So I could talk to the camera in public. I've done it whenever I was in Sweden. Again, that was in a whole nother country. So it does, when you're in a whole nother country, it does make you a little bit more confident because you're not in your home country. So yeah, I would just experiment and see what works for you and see and just kind of just play around with it. Hungry Husky says, great lab, man. I got to get some dinner for the locals. Well, thanks for hopping on, Husky. Good to see you, brother. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, man. Paul and Focus says, only mainstream media is known from where I am. It's a very small city, and televised media is what they consume. And being a person who creates content is hard, I'm sure. Yeah. So, yeah, like most people consume mainstream media. They're not actually watching content on social media. That's not where they're getting their information from. Yeah, it is. And there's a bunch of things too, is like, How it depends on, I mean, if you're trying to be a creator in your, like, in your city or your country and everything like that, when it comes to content creation, like, you can create content in a, like, specifically targeting, people in your, the language that you speak in. Then I saw something about this. There was a video that Colin and Samir, I don't know if you guys know, but they're in the YouTube help space. They interviewed Mark Zuckerberg, and Mr. Beast hopped on. And the only reason I say this is because Mr. Beast was talking about, like, how Facebook needs to make it to where you can, like, dub the audio in multiple different languages, because most countries don't actually speak English. Like, that's not their first language. And by making it so that you can dub content with AI, you can actually reach a more broader audience, because you can have that audio dubbed in a way to where it is so basically people understand it. So Mr. Beast has to actually make videos with no audio for other countries that they don't offer that language in, and people don't actually grow and develop a connection with him because they don't hear his voice. So why do I say that? Well, the reason I say that is because I think in the near future with AI dubbing, you will be able to reach a more broader audience. It'll be easier for you to extend your reach for your audience, and you won't be just limited to your local like area. Because if you're making content where you're not speaking in English, you can have that content translated into English, and you can reach an audience in the United States. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of time. This is already happening. Like, there's already things that you can use for AI dubbing and stuff like that. Like, it costs money, and YouTube, I don't know that it's released quite yet, but I haven't used it yet for my own content, but it's definitely a way of extending your reach outside of just your country to be able to reach a more broad audience. And I think that's going to be the future, is like, for some of these big creators, is they're going to be leveraging that to get even more views than they're already getting, outside of what they currently have on their current YouTube channel. But all right, guys. We've been going for almost an hour. I'll go, a few more questions if you guys have any. If not, I'm cool with that too. It's either way. It's cool to hang out with you guys on a Friday. Let me know if you guys have weekend plans or anything like that. Are you going to be shooting some content? I'm going to be shooting a little bit more content. I'm telling you, batching my videos has saved me so much, guys. If I could give you one tip, and you probably heard it, there's just so much value in batching your content, because if you shoot all your videos, then all you have to do is edit them. It gives you so much more freedom and headspace, because what I was getting at earlier was that when you shoot a video and you edit it and you publish the video, then what has to happen after that? Well, if you're doing one video every single week, you have to start the process over and over and over again. And your head is always tied up with what am I working on right now? Whereas if you can batch content, you can do a lot of work in a period of time, like outlining your videos, and then you go and you shoot your videos, and then you can edit them over an entire month. So shooting 4 pieces of content has really been helpful for me staying consistent. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. Sometimes I get behind and have to catch up, but batching has been incredibly helpful. And I recommend it to anybody. And that way you can get a few weeks ahead, and you can start thinking about other things. Like if you want to create products, or you want to create your own product, or if you want to like start reaching out to other brands and start doing brand deals and stuff like that. So, all right. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments. If you're watching on the replay, I'll be looking at the comments as well. Otherwise, you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. You guys have a good one.